Hi, I'm Smro. So, a couple things to point out. First, as you may have noticed, we have a new intro for our videos as well as a new symbol. We have a talented Clan Sverker member to thank for, Tipsy. Show him some love if you haven't already. I think the new additions/changes are great. So next, this is the first video in a series where Clan Sverker will be testing out new games. The main purpose is to find something to keep us occupied and unified while we wait for Camelot Unchained. This first video covers EVE Online, a spacefaring MMO. The first part of the video is gameplay, followed by a Q&A session with the Clan Sverker members that played it during our testing phase. I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so first up for our Eve Online Q&A, we have never seen a long beard of Clan Sverker. How are you doing today, Never?
Not too bad, man. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Excited and tired after all the Eve testing.
Yeah, aren't we all?
So I have a couple questions for you to answer, and then
Uh,
some comments at the end.
okay.
All right, so this first one might be an easy one. What is your favorite part of Eve Online so far?
My favorite part of Eve. Like I have to say, I really like the scenery, the music, and just everything about the game is beautiful. I guess is a way to put it. I do enjoy the aspects that I have kind of scraped into, like the mining and all that, but I haven't delved too deep into Eve to say what mechanic I like the best yet. But just graphically, it's a very beautiful looking game.
Yeah, I have to agree, especially on the graphics and the music. I find it really just fits well with the spaceness of it.
Yeah.
It's relaxing. So I guess follow up to that question is, what do you find so appealing about mining?
Mining, I just like that. It's very simple. You can queue it up. You don't have to worry too much about it. It lets me focus on doing some other things, but I'm still making progress in the game. It doesn't require a whole lot of attention. It's very zen-like.
Okay, nice. Next question is, what is your favorite ship so far?
My favorite ship?
Could be like a class too. Doesn't have to be a specific one.
I haven't flown it yet, but I have the training for it. Is the Orca, which is what I'm trying to get into right now. Which basically it's just another mining ship, but instead of using the traditional mining lasers or anything like that, it uses a fleet of drones and has a huge capacity for storage. So it just allows you to do a whole lot of mining. For the combat side, I'm flying the Caracal, is I believe how it's pronounced, which is one of the cruiser class ships, but I haven't gotten too much into the PvP side.
Okay, nice. The Orca sounds a lot of fun. I still have to mess with drones. Only time I use drones is the salvage, so not much exposure. Okay, so next question is, if we were to choose this game, how would you see Clan Sverker starting out and making an impact?
Starting out, I would see us. We would probably all end up getting together, and then we would have. I see two options before us. If we are trying to do it completely on our own, we would start off in the high security sections doing basic missions, working up a little bit of an income, training our skills up. That'll be the big thing. And then going out into what's called wormhole space, which is basically like uncharted regions of space whose entrances have limited size capacities. Um, there's a whole lot of detail going on to it, but basically it allows for smaller groups of players to have their own regions of space without these huge alliances and coalitions butting in too much. Or if we don't want to do that, because that's a very risky way of playing, because you have all the other pirate player factions out there doing the same thing, is we would have to join our own alliance of some sort and end up joining the wider galaxy map is a better way to put it. But yeah, we'd have to join probably like one of the alliances like Pandemic Legion or something that accepts newer players and help them in their war cause while they offer us a little bit of protection.
Okay, cool. I mean, I feel like you've thought this out pretty clearly. Sounds like a decent start to me. So that's all of the main questions that I have. We'll just close up here. Do you have any comments generally about Eve, positive or negative, that you want to add?
It's a really fun game. There's a lot of depth to it. But yeah, it's just a really fun game for me to get into. It's very addicting. Sometimes it can be frustrating, especially when dealing with other players who are just there to watch you suffer. But if you like space, you like, big MMO games, you're into PvP, this is definitely the game for us.
Well, PvP is what we're made of. So uh, I'm excited for it if we do end up here. But thanks,
So
Never.
am I.
Yeah, thanks, Neverseen. I appreciate your time.
No problem, sir.
Next up, we have Thrak, a member of Clan Sverker. He has been playing Eve online for a decent amount of time. How are you doing, Thrak?
Good, thanks.
Okay, so let's get started. The first question is pretty straightforward. What is your favorite part of Eve Online?
Well, I would have to say I like the mining side. I mean, I started out, which is kind of ironic. I started out as a high sec miner, and I enjoyed fleet mining, not solo mining. So having like a full crew, and had the most fun out in nullsec in a big fleet with all the boosts with Oracle and all that. So that I kind of enjoyed that.
Cool. I mean, besides just like the threat of other players in nullsec, was like that the biggest difference in high sec versus nullsec mining? Just the danger.
Danger, definitely. You have to really pay attention. Although the code, the bumpers are pretty much, they're pretty brutal in low sec or in high sec now as well as null. But that and the profit. I mean, the profit out in null sec, you get the rarest ores, and so the profits are much. I mean, it's a whole different game, right? Just a whole other scale for being out in null sec because of the revenue you can get out of it.
Okay, cool. Next question. You've played Eve for roughly 10 years, on and off. What kept you hooked for so long?
Yeah, it's. I mean, the thing about Eve is it's a sandbox, so it's got, even if you get bored, say you get bored with running grinding faction missions, or you get bored with mining, or you get bored with with trading or hauling stuff. I mean, there's always something different to try, and so you can go do exploring, and so there's just any number of different things you can try. That the variety of a full open huge sandbox. I mean, the universe is huge, the graphics are beautiful, so it's really immersive and diverse, and there's just so many different things to do. And the sandbox aspect of it being all player driven, everything's built by players, everything's crafted by players, and the whole economy is driven by the players, and so it's just so much variety. So always enjoyed that part of it.
Okay, yeah, the sandbox is very appealing to me as well. Um, Next question. What's your favorite ship or class? Class of ship.
Yeah, well, from the mining side, I really enjoyed flying the Orca and doing the boost. So I have my oldest main character has all the skills to fully take advantage of that ship. And I was actually training into the Rorqual, but it's really expensive, and it's a lot more. It's a huge capital ship. It's kind of I won't say equivalent of like flying a Titan, but there's a lot of similar skills in these big capital ships that take forever to train. But the Orca, being able to boost the whole fleet's mining takeout, and it's got tractor beams, so it can pull the when you jump your cans of ore and pull it in, and all the aspects of kind of running a mining fleet. I enjoyed that the most. Combat wise, there's a lot of really fun. I honestly like flying, frigates, cruisers, destroyers, battleships. I've flown. I'm not really great on the bigger ones, but they're all fun in their own little aspects. But I think the Orca, which is the big mining ship, is the funnest for me.
To be at least somewhat competent to fly that mining ship, or to the full extent, what's the research time on that?
Because I kind of jumped around a bit, so I suspect I started flying it maybe 6 years. But if you just focused on the skills, you can, like any ship, there's kind of minimum requirements to get into it, and then if you want to master it, you have to. There are other skills. So, for example, there's different fittings on the ship that you have to have certain. So you can do like tier 1 fittings and the tier 2 fittings, and so there's. I was able to get into it relatively quickly. You can get into it in in a year or two, I think, if you really push hard and focused. But to actually be able to use it till its full advantage with all the different things, it's years to be able to do that. So maybe I don't know. I'd have I could put a plan together in one of the apps and figure it out. But to truly master it, it takes years of training or lots of skill injectors, right? You can pay to win in the game for sure, right? You can buy skill injectors and kind of like the Matrix when he's plugging chips in the back of his head to learn kung fu, right? You can do the same thing in E. You can buy a skill injector and gives you, you know, 500,000 points, and you just spend them wherever you want.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, it just puts into scope the longevity of the game for research time for specific ships, and like you touched on, the diversity and the ship classes for like if you want to go straight mining to fly that, or go with more of a combat role. It still takes a lot of time to get proficient, so you don't lose your ship easily.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a complex game. So even though I've played off and on for 10 years, I don't really know. I mean, I barely scratched the surface. But an interesting thing to think about is these guys that fly these thousands of dollars worth of ship, like the Titans, the big Titans. There was a point in time when you actually learned to fly that ship and you had one, you couldn't get out of it, right? I mean, you literally could not. You had to log off in the ship. You couldn't get out of the ship once you had it because there was no place big enough to dock it, right? Even out in nullsec. So once you became a Titan pilot, you were a Titan pilot, right? You were always in that ship.
Wow, I did not know that. That must have been an interesting mechanic.
Yeah, I think the bigger now that they've added a lot of new bases, there's these huge bases. I think you can actually kind of dock them at the base and get out now. But I remember back in the day, I'm pretty sure. Of course, I've never been in that kind of a alliance, but yeah, it was a pretty big deal to. And that when they say they're losing $1,000 ships, I mean it's literally if you went to try to buy one with all the materials it takes, it's thousands of dollars. So.
Okay, great. Thanks for your input. Do you have any closing comments, positive or negative, about Eve itself?
Well, I'm definitely a fan of the game. I think the one thing that's the challenge about Eve is that it's probably has the one of the steepest learning curves complexity wise of any MMO out there. Just there's just so much. It's so involved, and it's such a big diverse set of things that you can kind of be jack of all trades as you go, but to really master stuff takes a lot of time and a lot of study. But definitely like the game for sure.
Okay, thanks for your time, Threk. I appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
And last but not least, we have Jorvold, the leader of Clan Sverker. How are you doing today, Jor?
Not doing bad. A little bit sober, but that's okay.
At my hour, that's good, but for you, it might be okay, acceptable. Okay,
I mean, it is 2:30.
Yeah, that's true. So the first question is the same question I asked everyone else. It's pretty simple. What is your favorite part of Eve Online?
Oh, I think that the sandbox aspect of it, everything in Eve is player driven, player made. The economy is completely run by the players. I think that's kind of the main selling point for Eve. Honestly, it's kind of if you can dream it, you can kind of do it in that game. It's kind of like a space version of Camelot Unchained, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's the most appealing part to me. It's just how much of a sandbox it is. I can really do anything. Like I know I've only played for about 2 weeks now. Um, barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, and the high risk, high reward is always appealing for me. It's a nice change of pace.
Okay, cool. So the next question is, what is your favorite ship and/or ship class type?
Oh man, that's definitely not the ibis.
That's my favorite.
Terrible ship.
Showcase the video.
I like the Fairfox or the Ferrex. It's a Caldari State. I think it's like a hybrid missile ship, or I like the way it looks, but I'm spec more in the missiles and long range, so I like the Drake quite a bit as well. It kind of fits my playstyle a little bit better.
Cool. Both good choices, including the Ibis.
Except for the Ibis.
The final question is, if we were to choose this game as a guild, how would you see Sverker starting out and making an impact?
Well, it is Eve, and Eve is a notoriously difficult game. So I think the best thing that we could do is start out slow, close knit group, take it easy, stay in high spec for a little bit, or high sec for a little bit. Then maybe if everything goes according to plan, eventually move down to the null sec and see what we can do. I'm thinking probably run missions for some money, mining operations, and of course pirating, because why not?
Exactly. Yeah, sounds like a good plan to me. So that's all the main questions I have. Do you have any closing comments about Eve itself, positive or negative?
Yes, the Ibis is a terrible ship.
It serves you well in the beginning.
That's not true. It's terrible.
Fair enough. Well, I appreciate your time, Jor.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Next time you're in game, I will make sure to put a bounty on your head.
I think I have one from Never Seen already.
Yeah, I think you do. Oh, I should go claim that next time you're on. I'll kill you. I'll collect your bounty, then I'll put another bounty on your head.
Yeah, I'll make sure I'm flying the Ibis from both accounts.
Oh god. You do that, buddy. You do that.
So contrary to what Jor said, the Ibis is the most powerful ship in the game. That goes for any Corvette in Eve. On a serious note, I'd like to wrap up with my comments. I thoroughly enjoyed Eve. I had my reservations against the game in the beginning, to be honest, but once you get started and get a hang of the mechanics, it really opens up. I barely scratched the surface that is Eve. Everything, I literally mean everything, is player driven, from crafting the ships and fittings, to the economy, and to exploration, to name just a few basic points. The universe, New Eden, is huge and breathtaking. The graphics are beautiful from the stations to the various ship models. Combat is dynamic and keeps it fresh and exciting with the high risk, high reward nature of the game. I hope you enjoyed this video and stay tuned for future testing content. As always, if you're interested in more about Sverker and you are not a member, check out our website, clansverker.com, for more information.